I am the type of person who is in the habit of making bingo cards for Nintendo presentations. And this is no ordinary Nintendo presentation. This is the reveal, the full reveal, the blowout reveal of their next console. The initial reveal was sort of like leaked, but it was supposed to be shadow dropped. It was a whole thing. My response to that initial reveal, which I scripted and used as a platform to discuss the ways Nintendo's changed over the Switch generation and how I feel they'll continue to change in the Switch 2 generation. It was fun to make, and it got a pretty good response in terms of like views and feedback and stuff, so thanks for that. I've unfortunately not had the time to properly script this video, but I feel as though presenting this video off the cuff will make it all the more personable and really convey how bingo cards and the like are just sort of spur-of-the-moment thoughts of mine. So without further ado, let's discuss this bingo card and a couple other predictions along the way, and my patrons. First off in the middle, a free space. Standard bingo card procedure in my book. Vertically up, I've got a little icon of the screenshot from the Mario Kart trailer. It's sort of a glowing takeout bag, it looks like. My prediction here is that we're going to see more details on this Mario Kart, including answers as to what that bag is for. Up above is my prediction that the console will be less than $400. $400 or less, I guess. To the left of that is an image of Masahiro Sakurai. That is to say, if we get confirmation of what Sakurai's next game is at this presentation, that's a spot for that right there. It may be Smash Bros, it may be Kid Icarus, it may be something else. I don't know, but feels like we could get a confirmation of a Sakurai game. To the left of Sakurai, $70 standard. My prediction that Nintendo Switch 2 games will, by default, be $70. There will be exceptions to this rule. Nintendo has always offered some cheaper games along with its AAA games. Switch era was no different. But yeah, I feel like $70 standard just makes sense, so if that comes true, that's another spot for bingo. Directly below the $70 standard, image of Pikmin. If there is a Pikmin related anything at this direct, even if it's just like, I don't know, you see a Pikmin waving in the presentation itself, that counts. Below the Pikmin is my prediction that the C button, the leaked C button for the Joy-Con, casts to the TV. That is to say, you're holding the Switch in your hands, you press the C button, and boom, you can cast whatever it's displaying or a potential thing to display onto your TV through something going on in the dock. Directly below that is an image of our new Donkey Kong. That is to say, I predict that we will see more of this Donkey Kong, but not just in that Mario Kart. Like a new Donkey Kong game, or a new Mario game that features that new Donkey Kong. Either way, just something other than this new Mario Kart that makes use of this new Donkey Kong design. I say new, it's been used for a while, but you know what I mean, making this more of the standard DK look. Below that, internet browser. If the Nintendo Switch 2 has a built-in internet browser that you can use, like the Wii U and the Wii had, that'd be great. To the right of internet browser is an image of the F-Zero GX cover. If there's an F-Zero related anything, not like, you know, oh, NSO works so you can play the classic F-Zero games in F-Zero 99. No, like a new F-Zero. If it's a new F-Zero, and I'm not just saying Captain Falcon appears somewhere, it's not as broad as the Pikmin spot. This has got to be new F-Zero. Even if it's like a remake of X or a remaster of GX, that's still new F-Zero in my mind. Directly above F-Zero, we've got a Sportsmate from Nintendo Switch Sports. So that naturally is to say, if there is a new Nintendo Switch Sports at this, then that's what that spot is for. And I feel like that's relatively likely. The Sports series from Wii Sports into Nintendo Switch Sports is one of Nintendo's highest grossing. Yeah, it's, and you know, and part of the reason why is because it was so popular as a Wii pack-in. Nintendo might be looking to try and call back to that success with this launch lineup for the Switch 2. Plus, you know, it could make for a good showcase for anything that the new Joy-Cons can do, mouse mode or whatever. You could just put a mini game or two in a Nintendo Switch Sports sequel and you're golden. Directly above Switch Sports is a patent for a controller that splits in half. This is a real thing that Nintendo patented, but patents don't always materialize into real products. But I'm predicting this one will, and I'm predicting we'll see it at this presentation. I mean, it's not like a solid prediction, that's why it's in the form of a bingo card. If it shows up, then that's another thing to cross off. Obviously not everything on the bingo card is I'm predicting all of this will happen, because some of them contradict each other. That's part of the game of bingo, is that you don't prepare for all possibilities. It'd be frankly weird and very it's wishful thinking to think that every single space you could conceive of on a bingo card would get checked off. So I try to diversify. I try to make it so that it isn't even possible. That way, it keeps your expectations more in check than otherwise. Directly above the Pro Controller patent, I have the 3D All-Stars icon. That is just to say, I predict there'll be a new 3D Mario game. And this spot is new 3D Mario game. It feels almost guaranteed, but that is the stipulation. It's not as broad as Pikmin or even F-Zero GX. Remasters of existing games do not count. It's got to be a new 3D Mario game. Flipping on over to directly below the free space, I've got an icon of Samus's head. This is to say I predict we will see Metroid at this presentation. Metroid Prime 4 feels like the most obvious thing, the most likely thing, but I'm opening the possibility to potentially getting a new 2D Metroid or Metroid spin-off like Hunters or Federation Force. I don't know. I'm allowing it to be a little more broad because I don't know why, honestly. Oh, I know why, because it's possible that Prime 4 will be strictly a Nintendo Switch game, so they may not want to do a full blowout for this game at this presentation. It probably will be cross-gen, and it probably will have a presence at this Direct, but in case it doesn't, here's a little safety, like, hey, if we get a different Metroid thing, that still counts toward bingo. Directly below Samus's head is new IP. And this is specifically new IP from Nintendo. Like if it's from Konami or Capcom or whatever, that doesn't count. It's got to be from Nintendo. And we are overdue to see a new Nintendo IP at this point. We've gone a couple years now with no new Nintendo IPs, which is weird because previously there'd been at least one every year, and oftentimes more than one, since Nintendo got started in the 80s. Making games, that is. Nintendo got started way earlier than that, but when they started making games, they'd been coming up with new IPs consistently, every year, at least once. The fact that they've gone a couple years now without doing that, it just tells me that maybe they're saving some of the bolder new ideas for the new console. If you saw my Nintendo in 2025 predictions video, you'll know that I think that there is a new Nintendo IP coming launch that'll be, like the pack-in game. I called it Nintendo Connect Coliseum to coincide with this prediction I made regarding the C button. You can go watch that video, it holds up, it's pretty great. But yeah, new IP, even if it's not that, it probably won't be that in particular. New IP feels like a safe bet. Directly next to new IP, I've got my boy Springman here. I am getting real desperate. Oh gosh, Nintendo EPD9. How often have I talked about it? Obviously, they're making the new Mario Kart. Obviously, they've been working on the new Mario Kart, but it's been so long since ARMS stopped getting updates and, to now all these years later with Mario Kart 9's release. Making DLC for 8 Deluxe couldn't have been that time intensive. Nintendo EPD9 has to have been working on other projects besides Mario Kart. Please let ARMS 2 be one of them. And to the right of ARMS, I've got one of the contradictory things, like, earlier, one of the bingo spots is if the C button casts to the TV, but this one coincides with the video that I made, the 2025 predictions video, where my prediction for the C button being a Connect app, that is to say you press that button to search for nearby devices that have a dedicated app that lets them interact in very specific ways with the Switch 2 console. If that's the way it is, I explain it a little bit better in that video, go check it out. But if that happens, that's progress toward bingo. Directly above the Connect app prediction, I've got Game Builder Garage. It's all but confirmed the new Joy-Cons will have a kind of mouse functionality. And Game Builder Garage is the latest Nintendo first-party game to actually incorporate mouse support. It feels like the right thing to have near launch to tell people, hey, here's a really neat thing you can use your controllers that you get right out of the box to do some really cool stuff you couldn't do with previous out-of-the-box controllers, Game Builder Garage 2, why not? Why not? Why not? Directly to the left of Game Builder Garage, I've got an icon of this splash art somebody made of the Zelda franchise. It's got Breath of the Wild Link, Wind Waker Link. That's all just to say, I believe there'll be something, anything Legend of Zelda related at this presentation. Ever since the 2010s, The Legend of Zelda has become an annual franchise for Nintendo. Except 2022, I guess, but that's only because Breath of the Wild got delayed. So whether it's Hyrule Warriors, or some kind of new spin-off, like the fighting game I predicted in the 2025 video, I think there will be something Zelda-related coming soon for the Nintendo Switch 2. Rumors suggest a Breath of the Wild remaster. That would be weird, but that'd count toward bingo. Directly above Zelda there, we've got the patent for the mouse functionality. Again, this hasn't been confirmed, just leaked and heavily implied and heavily suggested and even seemingly teased in that initial reveal trailer. Again, it's not confirmed, so having it as a bingo spot, it's an easy one, that's why it's so close to the free space. But yeah, it's there as a potential thing to put as progress toward bingo. To the right of that, we've got Switch 2 cartridges won't fit in Switch 1. This has sort of been, every Nintendo system that uses cartridges has a thing like this. Like physically, SNES carts can't fit inside NES's. Same with N64 carts, or, you know, Game Boy Advance carts, Game Boy carts. The 3DS could play DS carts, and the Switch 2 we know will be able to play Switch 1 carts, but a funny thing Nintendo did to prevent people from even trying to put their 3DS carts inside standard DS's was putting a little nub, a little ledge on the edge of Nintendo 3DS cartridges. I'm predicting there will be something in that similar vein to Switch 2 cartridges, so that people won't be able to physically put them inside Switch 1s. If that is revealed in this presentation, that's progress toward bingo. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Directly above that prediction, I've got a picture of Wario here. If there's a WarioWare, or a Wario Land, yeah, if there's anything with Wario in the title in this game, not just if we see Wario himself, but if it is a Wario game, that counts toward bingo. And again, it feels kind of likely. The WarioWare series has becoming, it might be in my hierarchy where you know, Nintendo IPs are either dormant or in limbo, or if they're either dormant, in limbo, infrequent, consistent, or constant, WarioWare is creeping toward constant. I mean, since 2018, 3 years haven't been able to pass without a new WarioWare coming. Wouldn't be surprising at all if we got a WarioWare game to showcase the Switch 2's new features at or near launch, you know? To the left of Wario, I've got this picture of the Nook family from Animal Crossing. That is again to say, if there is anything Animal Crossing related to this direct, then there you go. And this is more in the broader category, like Pikmin. Even if Isabelle or Tom Nook or KK Slider just sort of make an appearance in the presentation, not confirming a game, but just sort of waving high in an animation to say, all your favorite Nintendo buddies are gonna be here, yay! I'm gonna count that. Directly above Animal Crossing, I've got the Miiverse logo. This is there have been some rumors, but I don't think they're especially credible, but then again, I don't think most rumors are credible, that there will be a Miiverse equivalent for Nintendo Switch 2, like Community, like the C button that was leaked stands for Community button. And even if that's not strictly true, I think it's fairly likely that Nintendo will try and do its own social media again. Especially since they couldn't keep the Twitter integration going throughout the Switch's whole life. Not to mention there's been an expansion in offerings for NSO subscribers, incentives and rewards and login bonuses and stuff like that. It feels like doing a social media app of their own is a natural extension to what Nintendo's MO with NSO is. So yeah, more likely than you think, but not entirely likely, I don't know. Either way, if we get something like it, that's progress toward bingo. And lastly, up in the corner here, Amiibo. This one is always a catch-22. I feel like whenever I put down Amiibo on a Nintendo-related bingo card, Amiibos don't end up showing up. But then if I forget to include Amiibo on a Nintendo event-related bingo card, they do show up. And I'm like, I forgot to put that on bingo. So yeah. Yeah, that is my bingo card. Now, before we go, let's take a look at some predictions and thoughts and other things from my wonderful Patreon patrons, who you could become a member of for as little as $1 a month. Zub Mayer says, I just want to hold out hope for the return of dual-screen gaming. which was the true revolution of Nintendo's entry into the 7th gen of consoles. I am inclined to agree with you, Zoob. I have made videos on this channel before, this one video in particular titled In Defense of Dual Screen Gaming. And yes, there has been some speculation that because the Nintendo Switch 2 console has 2 USB-C ports, one on the top, one on the bottom, that the potential for a lot of external peripherals have increased exponentially, and one of the big hopes, not just between you and me, Zoob, but plenty of people, for sure, is a second screen attachment. Hopefully, that does materialize at some point. I don't suspect that if that is on the cards, we'll be seeing it at this direct, but that is a good hope. It is one that I share. Here's hoping that hope comes to fruition. Hope, 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 hope. Spiny Puffs says, UI improvements with some personality, dual screen support with Switch 1 in handheld mode. Oh, yes. So dual screen support, once again, has been mentioned here, but UI improvements with some personality is also a big want, a big hope amidst we Nintendo faithful, especially those of us who lived through and cherished our time with the 3DS and the Wii U. And the Wii as well, to some extent, and the DS, I suppose. But yes, ways to integrate the Switch 1 into the Switch 2 experience is also something I predicted in my predictions for 2025 video, and dual screen support using the Switch 1 as a controller with a screen on it for your Switch 2 would be a very nifty thing to have on the cards. That would be very cool indeed. Now, in complete honesty, I didn't get a lot of responses from my patrons on this question. I presented them with the opportunity to answer on 2 posts and direct messages, so it's not for lack of trying, but c'est la vie, each time Spiny Puffs chimed in with another one, so I suppose I'll just read them all since, yeah, why not? Spiny Puffs has also mentioned, I'm hoping for more consoles on NSO. Maybe finally GameCube Virtual Console will be real. DS and Wii would be great too. Also, Mario Paint on NSO with Joy-Con mouse support, Splatoon games with Joy-Con mouse support, a distinct UI aesthetic from Switch 1, insanely strong third-party support like GTA 6, a Pikmin spin-off, and a teaser for the next mainline Sonic game. Wow! Spiny Puffs, if or when you ever find yourself with the ability to make wishlist videos of your own, you should go for it, because that is quite the lineup. And a lot of them very tantalizing prospects as well. I would very much like to see if the Joy-Con mouse rumors do end up coming to fruition, and it looks highly likely that they will. Getting some old mouse-supported games like Mario Paint would be great, and getting GameCube on NSO would of course also be great, and yeah, wanting the Switch 2 to be as distinct as it can be from the Switch 1 aesthetically with its menus and everything else would also be nice, because, at some point, the homogeneity, the streamlined nature of the Switch's UI and all else relating and pertaining to the Switch in terms of itself, the console itself, and not the games made for it, has been somewhat dry, somewhat bland, so a little variety would be very much appreciated. I very much agree with you there. And of course, some strong third-party support would be nice too, and I feel like it's very, very likely the Switch 1 got some strong third-party support as well, as much as it could, and more than we ever expected it to, coming out of the Wii U era. So I suspect the Switch 2 will be strong enough to handle basically any game that ever got a PS4 version, which is still happening currently, however many years, like 5 years, into the PS5, Xbox X? Series X? I forget. We're however many years into that generation, and we're still getting PS4 versions of games and Xbox One versions of games, so I don't think it is a stretch to say that GTA 6, mainline Sonics, all that will very surely, almost definitely, be coming to Switch 2. And now we've officially said everything I wanted to say for this video. To wrap things up here, gosh, isn't it exciting that we're getting a new Nintendo console? Gosh, the possibilities are limitless. Gosh, it'll just be fun. You guys ready to have some fun? Yeah, let's have some fun, man. Fun is... I'm rambling.